I will be explaining the process of finding a body. Imagine you and your friends are exploring an abandoned house when all of a sudden you are hit with a smell unlike anything you've ever smelled before. It's very rotten, very old. Upon further investigation, you and your friends find a corpse. Do you know what to do? In a person's lifetime, there's an 80% chance that we will find one corpse in our life. We also produce one corpse, so it's very important to find out what happens to our bodies if they are found. I would like to inform you about what actions you should do if you find a body, as well as the police and forensics duties. When I'm finished, you should be able to explain the actions you should do and list the law enforcement duties. I have a lot of knowledge since I have attended a lot of lectures at colleges and conventions, and I also have family that had been police officers in the FBI, and my mom was even working in a forensics lab for a couple years. I will identify what actions a person should do if they find a corpse, the process and duties of police officers, and different forensics team specialists, as well as their roles. I will be first explaining what you should do if you find a body. The first thing is don't touch anything. If you touch something that's tampering with the evidence and the people that collect evidence from the clothes, don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. Yeah. The first thing I'm going to be explaining is you should not touch anything. I will first be explaining what happens. I will be first explaining what happens if you find a body. The first thing is don't touch anything. By touching something that's tampering with the evidence. And the next thing is bodies decompose very quickly. So they may contain bloodborne pathogens that will infect you. If you can see, there's a very lengthy process, as well as gloves, hazmat suits, you have to put it in a special container. That stuff, because it's very contagious. So not touching it will protect you. You also need to ensure your safety. The killer still might be around. If you feel like you are not safe, you need to leave from that environment and then go call 911. But if you feel safe, then just call 911. The next thing is you need to cooperate with the police or the medical examiners. Since you found it, you may be questioned. You need to try and remember as much as you can when you first found that body. The next thing you need to remember is you're not on trial, you're not in trouble, they're just trying to figure out what happened. What you do is important in order to protect yourself. Once police officers arrive, do you know what happens? That's what I'll be explaining next. Police duties once you make that call. First, police preserve the scene and they collect evidence. They will control the crowd. They'll just do a quick search and gather anything that stands out to them, but they won't do a very detailed and thorough look. The next thing is they contact the medical examiner, and when the ME arrives, they will assist them. They will investigate conditions surrounding the death, and they do a quick lap of the environment, and they try to piece it all together. The ME will then determine how that person died, and then depending on what they say, the police will then call the following department. Like if it was murder, they would call the homicidal department. From the different departments, they will then investigate, and the police officer might assist them in that. While the police look for the evidence, it's the forensics who investigate murder. This might be a trigger warning, but it's not a real body. So forensics pathologists do an autopsy on the body, as shown in this photo. Crime scene investigator edu.org says that they take blood samples, fingerprints, they collect and preserve the clothing, and they try to collect evidence to find the cause of the death by doing that autopsy. Next, the forensics science technician will go back to the scene and they will do a more depth search. They collect it and take it back to the lab for an analysis. They will collect fingerprints, weapons, hair, blood, and they will also take photos as shown in this picture. Whatever they collect, then the forensics DNA analysis will screen any DNA found to try to match it up to a person. According to crimesceneinvestigator.edu.org, they aren't just in the lab all day conducting tests to try to match up that DNA. Even though there are hundreds of forensics jobs, these are the main ones that help find the body. When a dead body is found, the first thing that needs to be done is you need to ensure your safety and then call 911, and then the police will preserve the scene and assist the MEs, while the forensics team go into more details on the scene and collecting evidence to try to find that murderer. From listening to my speech, you should be able to describe what you should do as well as the law enforcement and forensics duties when the bodies are found. With murder, it can be a very long and confusing process. I hope I've been able to give you a better understanding of what happens behind the scenes. And this is my sources. Thank you.